to yet another episode of Three Men Get Real. Three Men Get Real. Three Men Get Real plus Sheila. Three Men Get Real plus Sheila for our fourth edition. And how happy we are to be here tonight in the company of Sheila. We'll tell you more a bit about us, three men who get real, about mental health, men's mental health. But first, Sheila, welcome to Three Men Get Real, our fourth episode. Tell us all about the awesome Sheila. Who are you? Where do you come from? What do you do? What's your passion? What's your story? You're on, Sheila.
Well, thank you for that very exciting introduction. I'm Sheila Stauffer, and I'm the Executive Director of Cornerstone Counseling Center. I am a social worker. I've been a social worker for over 20 years, yes. And I got my start in foster care. And about 10 years ago, I moved over to mental health and became the Executive Director of Cornerstone. Cornerstone is a not-for-profit organization, and our mission is to make sure that counseling is accessible and affordable for everyone, because we've all seen the barriers that there can be to getting good mental health. And so often the barriers are financial. So Cornerstone has a very large sliding scale. So you can come in and see one of our graduate level interns for as little as $20 a session. And then it goes all the way up for people who make a comfortable income or have benefits. They'll pay the regular fee as suggested by the Psychological Association of Alberta of $200. Any of the profit we make off those full fee clients, we take that and we give that back to support our lowest fee clients so that they can get services. That's how Cornerstone works.
Okay, so I'm going to politely interrupt you only because you said something really cool, which I'm not going to, well, you said a lot of things that were cool. Hold the thought, which you don't know at this point, but hold that thought. Morris, tell us a bit about yourself. You're one of the three men who get real. What's the story, Morris?
Yeah, I'm classified as a man. Woohoo! My name is Morris Turka. I am a photographer, videographer, life insurance dude, and just being around all sorts of situations, being around on the streets, mingling with homeless people, to lots of different classifieds of people. And you know what? I am happy to be here to share the love and the passion I have from the experience I met from out there to you.
Awesome. And we are super excited to have you here tonight, Morris. What is the story, Dieter?
Yes, hello. My name is Dieter Wenzel, and I'm a human resources consultant. And if Morris is the engine that drives this bus and Robert's the driver, I'm that little bumper sticker on the back that nobody really understands what's going on, and Sheila is the one that's in the passenger seat hanging on. I do human resources consulting, and lately I've been pushing more and more workplace fairness analysis and workplace fairness assessments for people that are experiencing stress, bullying, harassment, tough time at work. And I strongly advocate having Robert come by with his boomsticks and his pool noodles to set the bar and say to everybody, let's have some fun here and be productive at work.
You don't mind me saying something quickly here? So you're the bumper sticker, right? Sheila, you're definitely the nitro, the turbo engine in the vehicle.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Robert, just quickly, do you have your boomsticks beside you so we can show the crowd?
No boom rockers tonight. No boom rockers.
Next one.
Okay, I'll get back to introducing myself in a couple of minutes. I want to come back to.
This is Robert Madison, a really awesome guy. He never does introduces himself in this episode. He is always thinking about others. Way to go, Robert.
Sheila, thank you, Morris. Thank you, Dieter. Sheila, you talked about services accessible for everyone. Cornerstone is all inclusive. It's all. So who is the everyone?
Well, we see people of all ages. So we see children, teens, men and women individually and as families. We also see couples, and we see children as young as 4 years old. We have play therapy. And then the oldest person we've ever seen was in his, I think he was 90 or 91. And he came because he thought, you know, I've got a couple of things to work on. And how can you not admire that? Like, that was really fun. So we do have a lot of seniors that come as well.
So when we first approached you to join us tonight on Three Men Get Real, what were your thoughts on that? Tell us a little bit about the invitation and where your headspace was going on joining us tonight.
Well, sure. And I will say that men's mental health is something I've been really passionate about for a number of years. When I first came to Cornerstone, men were just a little sliver of our population. And if they were partnered, if they were coming in for couples counseling, their wives generally made, or partners made, the call and booked the appointment. And often if they were coming in as an individual, their partner also called, made the appointment, and sometimes came with them. So, you know, I could really see that women were the driving force in a lot of cases. And I wondered why that was. And I wondered how we could make it more comfortable for men. So we started to do a little bit more with social media. But it really ramped up for me when I first learned that men die by suicide at a rate that is 3 to 4 times that of women. And I was shocked at that stat. And I just thought, well, if people knew more, they do more. So I started to educate people. And when I went out on engagements like this, because I do get invited to speak, I would say to the event planner or whoever was doing the speakers, and I would say, and I want to talk a little bit about men's mental health and men's suicide rates. And they would say, oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. This is breakfast. You know, we just want to keep this light. We don't want to talk about anything too heavy. And one person, in fact, told me, you know, Sheila, that's a downer. And I thought, wow, yes, it is a downer.
It's a conversation killer.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, Dieter, do me a favor, Dieter. Can you hide the elephant in the room? Just put a little tablecloth on top of it. You know, we don't need to see it.
It's a downer. Sorry, Sheila, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, no, I do get that reaction. Like, people don't know whether they should laugh because it's such an absurd comment. And I thought, it is a downer. And that is exactly why we need to talk about it. And then for a while, I kind of put it away and I thought, well, maybe maybe people aren't ready to hear this. And then I was reading, I think it was 2015 when we had a big oil crash. There was a lot of news around men's mental health in the oil field and about how many men we were losing to suicide that year. And I read a news about a young man on the oil patch. He left the camp in the middle of the night. He drove to his camp, he climbed the tower, and he jumped. And they found him the next morning. And when I read that, I just thought, you know, these guys are dying. They are dying and people don't want to talk about it. And that's not good enough for me. And I just thought, I have to, for this guy, for his family, and for the other guys out there, I have to keep talking about this. And so then we started actually a contest. I thought, well, how are we going to get people to talk about this in a way that they'll be ready? So we started Down with Man Up contest, and we've had it now.
Slow down. You started, what was that?
Down with Man Up.
Tell me about that.
Okay, sure. So Down with Man Up is it's a art contest kind of, or it could be literature. So we've started this contest where we wanted people to do something creative to talk about men's mental health. So we've had art pieces, we've had spoken word poems, we've had songs, we've had fiction stories, and they submit to us this piece, and then we do have judges, and there is a prize because of course it's nice to have a little bit of incentive to participate. But we've had some fantastic involvement. And one year, a grade 5 teacher said, we're going to participate in this club contest. And so he had his whole class, everybody did an art piece and they submitted it. And we got some fantastic pieces from these kids. And I think these kids, you know, grade 5, what are you, 10, 7? No, you're probably 10, right? In grade 5, 10 or 11. Well, these guys learned about mental health when they were 10 or 11, and they're going to take that with them that, oh, we should talk about mental health. Mental health is important. So that's one of the things that I did to try to get people engaged and get people talking about it. And we also, if you go to our social media sites right now, our Facebook and our Twitter, we're advertising the Down with Man app. We do a lot of posts on men's mental health because we want to make sure that the guys get the help they need. One of the things, and I'm sure you all know this, but women express depression differently, often, not always, but often differently than men. And men can get agitated, they can be more angry, they can kind of turn their grief into anger, as opposed to women tend to turn it a little bit more into sorrow. And so people tend to withdraw a little bit more, and the men tend to withdraw a little bit more. So they're not getting the help they need. And that is something, again, I wanted to bring attention so that people would ask their friends when they see them withdrawing, they see them get grumpy, they would say, hey, what's going on with you? And to really make people a little bit more aware of that.
Okay, so you've unpacked a lot, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So ask us questions. Come back to some of the stuff you unpacked, and we'll get real. We'll get real about some of this stuff you unpacked, but don't let us get away with not reflecting on what you've spoken about. So challenge us, ask us questions. We're okay getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Here, so start with Dieter. Ask him a question about something you unpacked.
Okay, Dieter, how do you feel about men's mental health, and how do you feel about talking about it? And how did you get interested in men's mental health?
For me, the information that you brought with the high suicide rates, these conversations, we're talking light about serious topics, so don't let my humor here get us off topic. But I think men are a little bit more effective with suicide because we use different means, right? Instead of pills, we use a gun, or like you said, jumping from a building or something. So, that's a variable to it. And when those things are happening, for me, I usually talk about the workplace, Sheila, in my experience. What I've seen with executives is they don't want to address these issues. They don't want to have a on-site mentorship program or an on-site peer support program, or they don't want to have on-site counselors, or they see it as a cost to have a counselor on site or a grief counselor, or if there's an incident at work, to bring in some supports. So for me, everything you're talking about is a topic that these executives should be comfortable talking about as well, especially if they're the leaders in the workplace.
Now, hold on, Sheila, make him work for his answer, right? Don't let him get off the hook here, because we will get real, right? So don't make it easy on Dieter. When he says workplaces should, workplaces don't, feel free to interject, Sheila, and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm seeing it in a different way. Or yeah, I'm seeing it that way. So feel free to make us work for this. We're here to get Robert.
You're next, Robert.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so maybe Robert, what is a more real take on that? Can you give me maybe a more real take on that?
A take on what?
A take on why you're so passionate about men's mental health, and how you feel it's sort of been stigmatized, or is being less stigmatized, or isn't being more stigmatized in the communities.
Okay, you just used the word that I want you to never use again.
Okay.
You will never use the word stigmatized again.
Okay.
Say it after me. I will never.
I will never.
Use that word.
Use that word.
Stigmatized.
Stigmatized.
Ever again.
Ever again.
There's no benefit to using the word stigmatized. And why I say that is in large part why I'm here, because the word itself and all the meaning behind it, which came about years ago through maybe conversations with mental health professionals and what they were seeing out there in terms of mental health conversations. I believe that the word stigmatized is a burden. It's a burden that so many people have to carry. There's a heaviness to it, the stigmatization of mental health. Oh my, there's a heaviness to it. So I am here, as Dieter said, to not dismiss the seriousness of the topic, but to lighten it up, and talk about the value of the conversation. And if it even means switching the language from mental health to mental wellness, mental well-being, mental fitness, and you might even like this, Sheila.
Mental health optimist. I've seen it. Or optimism, yeah.
Yes, mental health optimism. You've seen this?
I'm sure, because I've been at your one of your presentations.
Yes.
Is that yeah.
Yes. How do you like that term? I just created that a few weeks back, and I feel that by shifting the focus to the value of the conversation and inviting the conversation and changing the language to mental fitness, mental wellness, mental well-being, mental health optimism is very different, a very different promotion and marketing of the value of mental health conversations than moving in a direction of let's talk about the stigmatization of it. Because you know what, it's in my opinion, and feel free to comment, that the topic of stigma had its time out there in community 5, 10, 15 years ago. But I just don't see value in it today. It's a whole different understanding of mental health, mostly due to COVID. So why don't we shift the energy, change the energy?
Okay,
Robert,
let's shift it. So, what was her question?
Well, she wanted to know why I'm here.
Yep, why you're passionate about men's mental health.
And she talked stigma, and I went, whoa.
I used the S word.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, let me jump in for a second.
Yeah, you bet.
The other thing that you bring to the table is play and learning through play. And adults still learn through play. Children learn through play. And that's the most powerful way to shift a paradigm or a thought. And when powerful play experiences started to adopt this positive mental health, positive workplace mental health aspect to it, I don't see any degrees of separation between the topics. You're learning how to enjoy, right? You're learning how to play, you're learning how to have fun. And some of these topics are really, really difficult to broach with people. And I think Sheila's asking some really good questions, like how did we get real about talking about this? I think the path you're on, Robert, is a really valuable one. And I think it's underestimated or undervalued because play is the best way.
And any comment on that, Sheila?
Well, play is very powerful as far as changing your brain pathways, and changing your mood, because you get different chemicals that are released in your brain when you're playing. And sometimes, and I don't remember what the statistic is, but children smile and laugh all day long, and adults laugh like 5 times a day, if we're lucky. And so there is something to be said, and not something, a lot to be said about being able to let go and play. And a lot of times we are can I use the word inhibited?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of times we're inhibited to have fun and to let go because we want to present this image of perfection. And certainly I understand the image of perfection because I lean a little tiny bit that way.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So I understand what it's like to be that way, to be a little bit more reserved. And I'm also reserved by nature. And so, but to be able to play and engage in a way that sets you a little bit free and that puts those positive chemicals in your brain. Like when we're laughing here, I feel my mood elevating. Actually being with you 3 guys, I feel my mood coming up. So it's changing pathways in your brain, and using that language, that too changes pathways in your brain because you think of things differently.
So, and that's why enough with the S word, because that S word doesn't bring us to that place that you just described. And that's why I'm motivated for conversations around mental health without the S word. Here, challenge Morris Chirka. What make him work for your question.
Okay, but just so you know, as a trained social worker, I don't very often challenge people. I listen empathetically. So
You
this is a big
don't
shift for me.
antagonize.
So I'm going to have to try. Okay, Morris, tell me why you are so interested in men's mental health enough that you are willing to help to create a podcast, and to hopefully other men will see it and they'll get real. What motivates you to be here tonight?
Could you ask me something simple like what kind of pizza I like to eat?
No pizza. Robert has encouraged me.
Okay, all right, all right. No. Make a long story short here is 80% of success or 80% of whatever motivates us and drives us is up here. And I know myself personally, I'll have days where I feel really down, right? And it's like, and I always look at myself in the mirror like, why can't I do it? Why can't I do it? Right? So I started looking in the mirror and start exercising, kind of get the watching, get the energy, the blood flowing, the oxygen flowing. And then I start watching more and more comedies because I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm no expert, but our brain, when we watch movies, doesn't perceive the difference if it's real or not. So when we experience something, we might take it to heart or think it's more literally. Like that's why I never watch horror movies, because I want to be positive. So that said, I can feel that trappedness in the past before, the shackles, the heaviness of the weight of the shoulders, the difficulty of breathing, right? Of being able to do anything. But again, that's just my personal experience. I was very fortunate to be able to work on the streets, different organizations, to see it firsthand. And it breaks my heart that for the people in the streets there, and I'm not trying to single them out or not, street or not street, we all have challenges. But on the street, I heard that after 3 months, right, people give up hope. Once they lost that hope, right, then it becomes extremely difficult to get them back to get their optimum.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where, in the position I am, I'm supervisory and with the company I'm with now, and I see some amazing men. But learning more about this, I can see that line shifting, dancing right on to, yes, I am motivated, I can conquer it, to, I just want to give up. Forget it. What's the point of living? And it breaks my heart to know that we're all amazing. All we need to do is reach out. Hey, you're down. Let me pull you up. Hey, I'm down. Can you help me up? There's nothing wrong with asking for a helping hand. Hey, can you help me fix my car? Can you help me fix my house? Can you help me cut the grass? Can you help me work out at the gym?
Mm-hmm.
Then why can't we help each other work out with our mental fitness?
Any thoughts there, Sheila?
Well, yeah. Now you said that it's hard to ask, but I got to tell you, as a woman, I woke up the other morning and I was just kind of, they call it COVID languishing, where you just wake up and you think, another COVID day. And I immediately, it's Saturday, so I text my sister and I said, I'm laying in bed, I don't want to get up, let's do something today. So that is, and not all women, but women tend to band together more. And when we're feeling down, we phone a friend. What is it that you think keeps men from doing that?
I'll say that.
Wow.
So the reason why, here's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Stereotyping.
Okay.
I kind of talked about last episode here, where we see a lot of movies. Men got to be men, tough, right? Football players, Arnold Schwarzenegger, gotta have the class, the style, right? Got the car. And us men can handle anything, can conquer anything. We can, do anything. But when we see that all the time, and social media makes it even worse because it amplifies, oh my goodness, look at all these people are doing so amazing and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't look like a fool. I can't look like a weak. It's a huge pride thing. And also another aspect is it's also too overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you unpack that a little bit? It's too overwhelming. What does that mean for you?
Well, laptop there. Overwhelming basically meaning is that you can't see the trees from the forest, right? You're so in the thick of it. Like, where do I begin?
Mm-hmm.
It's easier just to divert my attention to something that pleases my dopamine, to my pleasure factors. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to watch the sports. I'm going to do some form of addiction, right? Do anything but face the problem. But the problem is when we go to escape it, we might feel good for a temporary moment, but then that pressure is still there, and it just amplifies and amplifies. So it becomes a vicious cycle going downwards.
Yeah, so it almost, and if I can paraphrase this, you kind of, and not you personally, but it's so overwhelming. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how people are going to respond. You don't know how you're going to respond. So you numb out.
And I don't want people to see how awful I am.
Okay. Yeah. You don't want to be discovered. You don't want to be kind of, discovered.
Well, let's quickly throw it back to Dieter, and we'll start wrapping it up. Dieter, build on what this piece that was unpacked with Morris and Sheila, because do you see that in the workplace?
Yeah,
with leaders?
Yeah, I see a lot of I'm going to go a little bit personal on this one you want me to be honest? Here we go. Okay.
Okay.
I won't give a vanilla answer about what I'm seeing when I'm doing my consulting work. A while ago, working on my MBA, I hit a wall, a really bad, ugly, prickly, terrible, painful wall, and it delayed my MBA almost 2 years. And I went to my parents' place, which little boys do, right? Everybody goes back to their mom. And I stood in the living room crying, their son, their grown-up son weeping, hugging the three of us in their living room. And they knew why I was there, so they weren't too overwhelmed with any worry. But it was a really strange experience afterwards to analyze how they were responding to my sorrow and my frustration and my sadness. My dad wanted to fix things, right? He wanted to resolve the problem right away. My mother wanted to pour a glass of wine and sit down and talk more about it. And, I was just gutted and I was just overwhelmed with emotion, and I really shouldn't have even tried to make a sentence at that point in time. So as Morris is talking about that bravado piece, that was very apparent in my father, who was still restraining his emotions and trying to control the situation and make sure that the problem gets fixed as quick as possible, not knowing it would take me another 1.5 years to battle that one down. And my mother was, supportive and receptive and kind of fell into that stereotype role as well. So when we're talking about these pieces, there's value in that. It's just a matter of learning from it and trying to flex a little bit into an uncomfortable spot when we're faced with somebody talking about their emotions, or when somebody's starting to broach a difficult topic with us, that we don't shy away or try to answer for them or manipulate the words they use. That we just listen and be present.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I really applaud your parents, because I'm going to guess that they are older boomer generation people. And for them to even for your dad, who I'm assuming is a pretty, I don't know why, but I just think he's probably a pretty proud, competent guy.
Yeah.
For him to be able to stand there and hold you, I think that is remarkable. And I think that shows, it shows character, and it shows honesty. Yes, did he rush to fix it? I'm quite sure he did, because men do love to do that. And particularly a man of his generation. Yeah, they might want to fix it. But I think that is so wonderful that you felt that you could go to your parents, because a lot of people would think, there's no way I'm showing this weakness to dad. No freaking way. But you felt open enough to go to him. I just think that is really remarkable. A lot of people will go to mom and cry, but not very many people have the relationship to go to dad and say, honestly, this is fun. So yay, Peter for that.
Sheila, begin, my apologies, Dieter. Thank you. And thank you. No, thank you, Morris. Thank you, Dieter. Sheila, let's begin wrapping it up. And give me a moment here. Anything surprising that was brought forward in our conversation over the past half hour or so? Anything surprising to you? Three Men Get Real. You're here. You were invited. Anything surprising? Anything you want to share with us about the conversation, or something that you want the audience to walk away with? You're on, Sheila.
Okay, well, I was really pleased how fun this was. I was afraid it was going to be a little awkward, being I am not a man, and I still have tried to get real. But I thought it was interesting, your perspective on the S word. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to give that a little bit more thought. I thought how honest Morris and Dieter are in this environment. I really enjoyed that. And I guess what I want people to walk away with is, if you see somebody who you know is struggling, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and ask the hard questions. How are you doing? Tell me more. When they start, don't try to fix it. Don't try to shut them down. Oh, you'll feel better. Don't give a pat answer, some sort of, what are those stereotype answers? Something like that, glib answer, but just, and it's tough, and it's something you learn, but learn to sit in the uncomfortable moment and learn to say, tell me more. Tell me more, like ask a question where they're going to talk more, so that you create permission for them to really share what's on their heart. I think that's what I want people to know. When you're talking to a guy, give them permission to share. And I think as women sometimes too, we feel a little uncomfortable. Oh no, the men are crying. What are we going to do? But for women too, when you were talking with a man, a friend, your brother, your husband, your partner, to be able to say, yeah, tell me more. I'm here for you. And I'm going to sit right in this uncomfortable moment, and I'm not going to leave until you're ready.
And I want to thank you for that. Because I know that what you just said is going to stay with me. And Dieter and Morris and I will talk more about that, and carry that over into our next episode of Three Men Get Real. Dieter, one last thank you to Sheila. Is there anything you'd like to say to Sheila?
Hopefully we have recurring guests on this.
Hopefully we have recurring guests. Why thank you, Dieter.
Why thank you, Dieter.
It's also an option.
Morris.
I just want to say I love hearing everyone, their different point of views, the different dynamics. Sheila, thank you so much for bringing into the light where everybody has kept so much in the dark. To know that we're not alone, we're all human, we all make mistakes, we all have a heartbeat, and we all have weaknesses and strengths. So let's all help each other. And I'm really appreciated that we all can be here together to be real, to show that we're here to help.
You bet. I'm Robert Mandelson, the creator and facilitator of powerful play experiences, positive workplace mental health for teams. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to spend some time this evening with my good friend Morris Chirka of Morris Chirka Photography, Videography, and everything to do with insurance and life insurance. With Peter Wenzel, Alberta's best human resources professional that nobody knows about, but is starting to. And I can't thank you, Sheila, enough for dropping by today. I have noted COVID languishing, and you will be receiving an email from me about that. I'd love to learn more about that. So thank you for adding more language, new language, refreshing language to the conversation around mental health, men's mental health. 3 Men Get Real. Thank you very much, everybody. If you are watching this episode, thank you very much for watching this episode. We will be posting our last episode online within the next 24 hours. And this particular episode should be ready for posting in the next couple of weeks. Big hand for everybody. Big hand for everybody. You bet. Have a great evening, everyone. You've been watching another edition of 3 Men Get Real. Woo!